His cheating wife got herself into danger only to get a glimmer of hope for their future together. But his forgiveness feels more like a release, a finality she hadn't bargained for. Ever been stabbed in the back by the one you thought had your heart safe in their hands? Yeah, that gut-wrenching agony was my everyday reality. Started off all lovey-dovey with Emily, making plans, sharing dreams. Then bam, she shattered our vows like glass. Went from cloud 9 to hell in a heartbeat. Strap in, cause you are about to dive into my story. A roller coaster ride that has it all. Love, lies, betrayal, and payback. Jack strode through the bustling airport terminal, his steps quick with anticipation, longing for the warmth of home. As he grabbed his suitcase filled with carefully chosen gifts, the excitement bubbled within him. Driving home, memories flashed by each street corner, a reminder of the life he'd left behind. Yet, a subtle shift in the air left him unsettled, a feeling he couldn't shake. Almost there, the driver reassured, breaking Jack's reverie. Arriving home, Emily's welcoming smile eased his nerves, but her eyes betrayed a hint of tension. For a moment, as he wrapped her in his embrace, everything felt right. The slight, unplaceable shift was forgotten, lost in the scent of her hair and the feel of her closeness. "How were your days without me?" he asked, his voice playful yet tinged with genuine curiosity. "They were good," Emily responded, her voice laced with a hint of mischief. "A bit mischievous without you here to keep me in line," Jack laughed, the sound mingling with the soft afternoon breeze. "I know you missed me as much as I missed you," he replied, the joy of return masking his lingering doubts. "Where is our daughter?" He looked around, eager to see his daughter. "Oh, Daisy. She's with her friends," Emily said casually, turning towards the house. "Busy with her projects. You know how it is with teenagers. Let's come inside and show me what you have brought for me this time." Emily led Jack into the cozy living room, the anticipation palpable as he handed her the carefully wrapped gift. With a wide grin, Emily eagerly tore open the packaging, revealing the elegant necklace nestled within. Her eyes lit up with delight as the chain dangled in her fingers, gems glittering. "Jack, this is exquisite," Emily exclaimed, her voice filled with genuine appreciation. "You always know just what I love." Jack basked in the warmth of her joy, his heart swelling with affection for his wife of 14 years. As Emily searched for more gifts, Jack's heart sank slightly. He had only one more, reserved for Daisy. Guilt gnawed at him as he watched disappointment cloud Emily's features. He had been struggling with business losses lately, unable to lavish his wife with the luxuries she deserved. "I'll make it up to you," he said. Emily's gaze softened, her hand reaching out to cup his cheek. "It's okay, Jack," she said softly. "I understand. We'll get through this together." Emily leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to his lips. "No matter what happens, I love you," she whispered, her words a soothing balm to his troubled soul. With a heavy heart, Jack retreated to the bedroom to freshen up, the weight of his financial worries pressing down on him. As he stepped into the shower, an unfamiliar scent lingered in the air, but he brushed it off, chalking it up to his imagination. Later that evening, as they sat down to dinner, Emily's voice cut through the silence, her tone hesitant yet demanding. "I need some money," Emily stated bluntly, her words hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. Jack chewed slowly. He didn't question why she needed it, only asking, "How much?" Emily casually said, $5,000, maintaining a steady stare. Jack nodded after a little pause. "I'll send it to you after dinner," he promised, his mind already racing with worry about their dwindling finances. The next morning, fatigue kept Jack home, his exhaustion mirroring the heaviness in his heart. "Staying in today?" Emily asked, her casual tone belying the tension beneath the surface. "I'll work for a couple of hours from home," Jack replied with a smile. As they spoke, Daisy entered the dining room, her presence bringing a brief reprieve from Jack's worries. He stood up to greet her, enveloping her in a hug and pressing a kiss to her forehead. "How was your night, sweetheart?" Jack asked, affection lacing his words. Daisy's cheerful demeanor did little to ease Jack's growing unease. There was something in her eyes, a hint of nervousness that caught his attention. Once Daisy headed off to college, Jack turned to Emily, concern etched on his face. "Do you think something's bothering Daisy?" he asked, hoping for reassurance. Emily's response was casual, her mind already elsewhere. "Probably just exam stress," she shrugged, dismissing Jack's concerns. Afterward, Jack watched as Emily got ready and left to go shopping, leaving him alone on the balcony with his laptop. At noon, Jack's phone buzzed with Atlas's call. Seeing his friend's name on the caller ID, Jack answered. "Hey Jack, what's up? If you are free, let's have lunch together?" Atlas's voice came through the line, offering a much-needed distraction. "Absolutely," Jack replied, relief evident in his tone. "I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. Jack entered the restaurant to find Atlas already seated, a warm smile on his face as he greeted his friend. They exchanged pleasantries while waiting for the waiter to take their order. "So, how was your business trip?" Atlas leaned in, genuine interest in his eyes. Before Jack could respond, his heart skipped a beat as he noticed Emily entering the restaurant with a handsome man by her side. As Jack recognized the man with Emily as his business rival, shock rippled through him. Seeing them together sent a cold wave of realization crashing over him. His wife, whom he had trusted implicitly for so many years, was walking hand in hand with another man. The realization hit Jack like a ton of bricks, shattering the illusion of his perfect marriage in an instant. As Atlas followed Jack's gaze, his muttered words brought a jolt of reality crashing down on Jack. "Why is your wife with Theodore?" Atlas's question echoed in Jack's mind, stirring a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. Jack closed his eyes briefly, trying to gather his thoughts amidst the chaos of his racing mind. Maybe there was a reason behind Emily's presence with Theodore. Perhaps Theodore was manipulating her, using her against Jack without her knowledge. But Emily knew that Theodore was his rival. They sat at a table with a glass wall, smiling at each other. At a glance at Atlas, he rose from his seat and exited the restaurant, Atlas's worried gaze following him. Jack sat alone in his car, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He couldn't tear his eyes away from Emily, who was laughing and chatting with Theodore. Seeing them together hurt like hell. He couldn't help but wonder how things had gone so wrong. Just a month ago, Emily had said goodbye with love and loyalty before his business trip. Now it felt like he didn't even know her anymore. The whole situation was a total mess, and Jack was struggling to make sense of it all. But now, the scene before him painted a starkly different picture, one filled with betrayal and deceit. Jack decided to uncover the truth behind Emily's actions and confront the reality of his crumbling marriage. As Emily entered their home, Jack's heart pounded with a mix of anger and betrayal. He couldn't believe she had lied to him about going shopping. Suppressing his fury, he managed to keep his composure as he questioned her. "Where have you been, Emily?" Jack's voice was strained, barely concealing the seething rage beneath the surface. Emily started, a flicker of guilt crossing her features before she quickly composed herself. "I was with Sonia," she lied, her tone casual. "And look what I got for you, this stunning Cartier watch." Jack's confusion deepened. How did she get such an expensive watch for him, especially when she was apparently demanding money for herself last night? The lies only added to his bewilderment, leaving him questioning everything he thought he knew about his wife. Jack fought to contain his anger, realizing he needed more evidence before confronting Emily with the truth. Anxiously, he waited until midnight, when Emily was in a deep sleep. Silently, Jack crept to her side, his hands trembling as he picked up her phone. With a sinking feeling in his chest, he unlocked it using her fingerprint and began to sift through her messages. What he discovered shattered his world. The chat history between Emily and Theodore stretched back to before Jack had even left on his business trip. Initially formal, their conversations quickly grew more intimate, sharing complaints about their respective spouses. Jack's heart clenched as he read Emily's admission, her words like a dagger to his already wounded pride. "I'm bored with Jack and his busy schedules barely providing for me," she wrote. The weight of her discontent settled heavily in his chest. But it wasn't just Emily's words that cut deep. Theodore's manipulative influence twisted the knife further. "You deserve better," he told her, tempting her with cash and fancy stuff like it was bait. And in return, he wanted some particular papers from Jack's study. As he scrolled through the messages, Jack's hands trembled with a mixture of anger, hurt, and disbelief. "How could you do this to me? To our family," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. A single tear escaped Jack's eye, tracing a path of heartache down his cheek. His chest tightened with the weight of betrayal, the pain cutting deeper than any physical wound. With each beat of his broken heart, the realization sank in. His marriage, once built on love and trust, now lay in ruins. The woman he had held close, the one whose laughter once filled their home, had become a stranger, a shadow of the person he thought he knew. With shaking hands, Jack documented the evidence of Emily's cheating, snapping pictures of their incriminating messages and gathering proof that showed just how deep her betrayal ran. Each image, each word, was like a nail in the coffin of their broken trust and shattered vows. As he weighed his options, thoughts of divorce and cutting ties with Emily churned in Jack's mind like a stormy sea. He pictured taking back everything he'd ever given her, leaving her with nothing but regret for her betrayal. And Theodore, the mastermind behind it all, would soon learn the consequences of his actions. "They'll both pay for this," Jack muttered through clenched teeth, his determination growing stronger by the second. But within his thirst for justice, a twinge of hesitation crept in. What about Daisy, their daughter? The idea of disrupting her life, of exposing her to the pain and chaos of their failing marriage, gave Jack pause. He couldn't ignore the weight of that decision on her innocent shoulders, who was only 17 years old. For a moment, Jack's resolve faltered as he wrestled with the enormity of his choice. He couldn't stand the thought of his daughter getting caught in the middle of their shattered marriage, torn between loyalty to her parents and the painful truth of their betrayal. In that moment of clarity, Jack realized that his daughter's happiness had to come first. He couldn't let his thirst for revenge cloud his judgment or overshadow his duty as a father. With a heavy heart, he made the difficult decision to confront Emily instead of rushing into any drastic actions. Next morning, once Daisy went to college, Jack asked Emily, "Where have you been yesterday exactly?" "Oh, Jack, I told you I was with Sonia, and I was also out running errands. You know how busy I can get," Emily said, forcing a smile. "Running errands with Theodore?" Jack asked. "Theodore? Oh, you must be mistaken, Jack. I haven't seen him in months," Emily replied, feigning innocence. "Don't lie to me, Emily. I saw you with Theodore at the restaurant." Jack's voice rose. "Jack, please, you don't understand. I was just talking to Theodore for business reasons." Emily panicked, her eyes flashing. "Business reasons? Is that what you call it?" Jack's voice dripped with sarcasm. "No, Jack, you've got it all wrong. I was doing it for us, for our family. We needed the money." Emily's voice trembled. "For us? For our family? How does betraying me and sneaking around with another man benefit our family, Emily?" Jack's voice was laced with bitterness. "I had no choice, Jack. You've been so busy with work and the bills were piling up. I just needed to find a way to take care of us." Emily's desperation crept into her tone. "So you decided to sell your integrity and our marriage for a quick fix. Is that what I mean to you, Emily? Just a paycheck?" Jack's voice hardened. "No, Jack, of course not. I didn't know what else to do," Emily pleaded. "Desperate or not, Emily, what you did was wrong. You broke my trust, and I don't know if I can ever forgive you." Jack's voice became cold. "It's not that deep, Jack. Now you're overreacting. I didn't betray you or anything. It is something that can be fixed." Emily tried to sort things out. "I don't know if there's anything left to fix, Emily. You've shattered something between us that may never be repaired." Jack's voice filled with pain. "I was just having a little fun with Theodore so I could get some money for us because I know your financial condition. I needed a little help from him. Don't you remember I got you an expensive watch from money that I got from him? And that's all. I don't have any long-term plans with him. You should understand that," Emily almost shouted at Jack. "Emily, I can't believe you're still trying to justify this. You call cozying up to my business rival a little help? Selling secrets and lying to my face?" Jack's voice was incredulous. "It's not like that, Jack. I was just having some harmless fun. You're blowing this way out of proportion." Emily's voice was dismissive. "Harmless fun? Is that what you call it? What about Daisy, huh? What about her feelings, seeing her mother sneaking around behind her father's back?" Jack's voice rose. "Daisy is old enough to understand that sometimes adults need to make tough decisions." Emily's voice was defensive. "This isn't about tough decisions, Emily. This is about you using me for your own gain, about you betraying everything we've built together." Jack's anger was palpable. "Jack, please, you have to understand. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted to make sure we were taken care of," Emily pleaded. "Taken care of at what cost, Emily? At the cost of our trust, our love? Is it really worth it?" Jack's voice sounded weary. "I think it's about intentions, and I did the right thing." Emily's voice faltered. "Emily, there's nothing right about what you did. You need to own up to your mistakes and face the consequences." Jack's voice hardened. I don't think I made a mistake, Jack. I was just scared of losing our financial freedom, luxurious lifestyle, and losing you." Emily's voice rose up. "Emily, you've already lost me. Trust isn't something you can just rebuild overnight. It takes time, effort, and honesty." Jack's voice was heavy with sadness. With that, Jack left. The conversation wasn't going anywhere, and Emily's unaccountability was driving him crazy. He needed some time to process everything. The next morning, Jack woke up to an empty bed. Emily's absence a stark reminder of the fractured state of their marriage. With a heavy heart, he left the bedroom, the silence of the house amplifying his inner turmoil. In the kitchen, he looked around for any sign of Emily, but the room was deserted. A sense of unease gnawed at him as he climbed the stairs, heading towards his daughter's room. Maybe she had left after their conversation the night before, he thought. As he approached the door, a voice floated through the slightly open door. "I've made up my mind, Daisy." Emily's voice was firm, though tinged with a hint of uncertainty. "I'm leaving your father soon. He's got an ego as big as the sky, but no money in his pocket. I deserve better than this. He doesn't want me to live a better life. I've tried to sort things out, but he's just being dramatic. It's getting ridiculous now. I can't live with him anymore." Daisy's response felt like a stab to Jack's heart. "Do whatever you want, Mom," she replied with a tone of indifference. "It's your life. I'll stay with Dad until I graduate, but once I have a job, I'll move out. Of course I can't spend my whole life with him. I want to live my own life. Living in this house is just too stressful. Maybe I'll find a rich boyfriend as well," Daisy said casually, while lounged on the sofa. Jack's world shattered at Daisy's words, the pain of her betrayal cutting deeper than he ever thought possible. How could his own daughter turn her back on him so easily, choosing material wealth over the love and support he had always provided? The echoes of Emily and Daisy's recent words rang in his ears, igniting a fiery anger within him. Jack's gaze tinted red with resolve as he made a decision. He would seek revenge on Emily, and he would end his relationship with Daisy as well. If leaving him after graduation was her plan, then he would let her go now. She needed to realize how difficult life could be without a father figure. He didn't care whether she worked or found a wealthy boyfriend. With sudden determination, Jack turned on his heels and stormed into his room. He paced back and forth in his study, his mind consumed by anger and resolve. Emily herself was the one seeking divorce, so there was no need for Jack to file for divorce. When she brought the divorce papers to him, he would inform her that he had already made her sign a prenuptial agreement without her knowledge. He would never do such a thing if his father hadn't insisted. He hadn't wanted Emily to feel that he didn't trust her, so he had her sign the agreement under the pretense of an insurance document. According to this agreement, the house Jack had purchased before marriage would remain his in the event of divorce, and Emily would have no stake in his business. Other items, such as the car and jewelry that Jack had given to Emily after marriage, would not be reclaimed, and she would receive her fair share of their shared accounts. He called his lawyer to discuss disinheriting Daisy. "Hello, this is Jack," he said briskly when the lawyer answered. "I need to speak with you urgently." "Of course, Jack. What's on your mind?" The lawyer responded calmly. "I want to disinherit my daughter from my property," Jack declared, his voice tight with emotion. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line before the lawyer replied, "I see. Can you tell me your reasons for wanting to disinherit your daughter?" "She's willing to abandon me for a wealthier lifestyle like my wife," he explained bitterly. The lawyer listened attentively as Jack told him that he and Emily are separating. After a moment of silence, the lawyer responded with a thoughtful tone. "I understand your concerns, Jack," the lawyer said, his voice calm and measured. "Disinheriting a child is a significant decision, and it's important to ensure that it's done in accordance with the law and your wishes." Jack nodded, his frustration evident in his voice. "I've worked hard to provide for my family, but it seems that neither my wife nor my daughter care about it," he muttered bitterly. The lawyer sighed sympathetically. "I can help you navigate the legal process of disinheriting your daughter, but it's important to consider all possible implications and alternatives," he advised. "Have you discussed your concerns with your daughter? Is there any chance of reconciliation?" Jack shook his head, his resolve firm. "There's no going back from this," he declared. "I need to protect my assets and ensure that they don't benefit from my hard work anymore." The lawyer nodded in understanding. "I'll start reviewing your estate planning documents and exploring your options for disinheriting your daughter," he assured Jack. "But I urge you to take some time to consider your decision carefully. Once it's done, it can't be easily undone." Jack thanked the lawyer for his assistance and hung up the phone. The weight of his decision hung heavily on his shoulders, but he knew that it was necessary to protect his assets and reclaim control of his life. In the dimly lit room, the atmosphere was heavy with tension as Emily entered. holding a dusty envelope in her hands. Jack's gaze remained fixed on the envelope, his expression unreadable as he awaited her words. "I need to talk to you," Emily began, her voice tinged with a mix of nervousness and determination. "Go ahead," Jack replied calmly, his tone devoid of any emotion. Taking a deep breath, Emily spoke, her words hesitant yet resolute. "I've spent many years with you, Jack. I liked you, and there was a time when I couldn't imagine my life without you. But people change, and so have I. I want a divorce." Jack remained silent, his eyes locked on hers, silently absorbing her words without a hint of surprise or protest. "As you wish. Get your things and leave," he said coolly, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "You can't take anything from my property except for the car, jewelry, and 30% share of the savings accounts." Emily smiled. "Don't you know the law? Your house and business will be divided between both of us. You had signed an agreement before our marriage." He felt satisfaction at the sudden change of her facial expressions. "What agreement?" She didn't remember. "I took your sign on an insurance paper. It was actually a prenuptial agreement according to my conditions." Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. "You tricked me?" she exclaimed, her voice laced with indignation. Jack met her gaze evenly. "I did what was necessary to protect myself," he stated bluntly. "And now, it's time for you to accept the consequences of your actions." Emily's fists clenched at her sides, her breathing ragged with anger. "You'll regret this, Jack," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. But Jack remained unfazed, his expression stoic. "I highly doubt that," he replied, his tone devoid of emotion. Emily's anger boiled over, her face contorted with rage. "I will file a fraud case against you," Jack simply shrugged, showing he wasn't bothered by her threats. "You don't have the money to take legal action, Emily," he said, brushing off her worries. "And Theodore won't help you either." Listen, Jack, you can't do that. I thought we were going to work this out amicably," Emily said, shocked. "Emily, you've been dishonest with me. I've even seen the messages between you and Theodore. You've betrayed my trust, and I can't overlook that," Jack replied, calm, after realizing she wouldn't get much from Jack after the divorce, and unable to rely on Theodore, who was only using her against her husband for business purposes and didn't actually care for her. Emily made a complete turnaround. "Jack, it's not what you think," she exclaimed. I had a little fun with him, but actually I needed money from Theodore, that's all. It was for us." Emily defended herself. "That's dumb. You were willing to sacrifice our marriage for money?" Jack sounded skeptical. "No, Jack, please listen to me. I made a mistake, but I still love you. I want to make things right," Emily pleaded. "I'm sorry, Emily, but it's too late for that now. I won't be manipulated any longer," Jack remained resolute. "But Jack, what am I supposed to do? I have nothing without you." Emily sounded desperate. "That's something you'll have to figure out on your own, Emily. Go to Theodore. I can't help you anymore." Jack's tone turned cold. "Please, Jack, forgive me and don't do this. I'll do anything to make it up to you. Anything, Jack. Just tell me what you need. Please, about Theodore. I was playing with him. It was just a drama," Emily pleaded tearfully. Jack stared at her for a moment, and his voice was cold as he took a step closer to Emily. "Then continue with that drama," he said, his eyes flashing with a strange intensity. The tension in the room was palpable as they both realized the gravity of the situation. As Emily hastily made her way towards the living room couch, Daisy burst into the house, her eyes widening at the sight of her mother's distressed expression. "Mom, what's going on?" Daisy asked, concerned about lacing her voice as she hurried over to Emily's side. Emily turned to her daughter, her eyes brimming with tears. "Daisy, your father, he'd bereft me of everything," Emily explained, her voice choking with emotion. "Just because I chose to live as I want, didn't he have the right to choose what he wanted?" Jack thought with a bitter smirk inside his room. Daisy glanced at him with anger. "That's not fair, Mom. I will talk to him." She darted towards him, her hair waving behind her. "What's going on, Dad?" Daisy asked, her voice tinged with worry. "Don't play dumb, Daisy," Jack replied sharply, his eyes narrowing. "You know exactly what's happening." "I don't know. What are you talking about?" Daisy said quickly. Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself for her reaction. "I've decided to disinherit you from my property," he explained, his tone unwavering despite the weight of his words. Daisy yelled, "Disinherit me? But why, Dad? What did I do?" she pleaded, her voice trembling with emotion. "Because you don't care about me anymore and think whatever your mom is doing is fine." Jack's voice wavered with emotion. "You were planning to abandon me as soon as you graduated and found a job." He paused, his tone heavy with bitterness. "Now go and find your precious job or a wealthy boyfriend." Tears welled up in Daisy's eyes as she pleaded. "But Dad, I'm your daughter. You can't do this to me," she protested. Jack's expression remained cold and resolute as he turned away from her, his heart heavy with regret. As Jack drove to the lawyer's office, the weight of his decisions weighed him down, clouding his thoughts. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles turning white with tension as he replayed the day's events in his mind. Regret ate away at him, mixing with a feeling of acceptance as he mourned the direction his life had taken. He never thought his marriage would fall apart like this, or that he'd end up distant from his daughter. Pulling into the lawyer's office, Jack's shoulders slumped with weariness, the burden of his troubles almost too much to bear. But even with his exhaustion and uncertainty, a spark of determination flickered within him. He knew he had to stay strong, to confront the challenges ahead with resolve and conviction. 3 months later, the polished mahogany table gleamed in the celebratory light of the restaurant. Jack, his tie loosened slightly, leaned back in his chair, a satisfied sigh escaping his lips. The meeting with Mr. Khan had been a success, marking a potential partnership that could breathe new life into his struggling business. Jack had outmaneuvered Theodore to secure the deal, a triumph that fueled his determination to outdo him at every opportunity in the future. Flashbacks. 3 months before, when Emily got to know about their divorce agreement and started pleading to Jack for his forgiveness, Jack contemplated his next move. A daring plan began to take shape in his mind. He realized that Emily's collusion with Theodore presented an unexpected opportunity, one that could potentially turn the tables in his favor. Yes, he told her to continue with that drama, but with a twist. Emily could use her new alliance with Theodore to gather valuable information about his business dealings, computer data, and potential business partners list. Emily, desperate to earn back Jack's forgiveness, reluctantly agreed to play her part in the scheme. Under the guise of reconciliation, Jack instructed Emily to arrange a meeting with Theodore under the pretense of discussing their supposed partnership. Unbeknownst to Theodore, Jack had secretly planted a tiny USB drive in Emily's purse, preloaded with software capable of extracting data from Theodore's computer. As Emily met with Theodore, Jack monitored the situation from a discreet distance, his heart pounding with anticipation. With Emily's guidance, Theodore divulged sensitive information about his upcoming business ventures, unaware that every word was being recorded and transmitted to Jack's laptop in real time. With this invaluable intelligence, Jack meticulously analyzed the data, identifying key opportunities to capitalize on Theodore's vulnerabilities. He strategized his approach, crafting a carefully orchestrated plan to approach Theodore's potential business partner and position himself as the superior choice. With nerves of steel and unwavering determination, Jack executed his plan flawlessly. Armed with insider knowledge and a persuasive pitch, he approached Theodore's potential business partner with an irresistible offer, one that showcased his expertise and reliability in stark contrast to Theodore's wavering reputation. The culmination of months of planning and deception came to fruition as Jack secured the coveted deal with Mr. Khan, effectively undercutting Theodore and cementing his own position as the preferred partner. The news of Theodore's loss sent shockwaves through the industry, leaving him reeling from the unexpected blow dealt by his former ally. Meanwhile, Emily played her part to perfection, maintaining the facade of reconciliation with Jack while covertly gathering intel from Theodore. Her dedication to the ruse ensured that Jack had the upper hand every step of the way, further solidifying their newfound alliance in pursuit of their shared goal. Flashback ends. In the dimly lit room, the tension between Emily and Jack is palpable. Emily, still reeling from Jack's unexpected forgiveness, searches his eyes for any sign of relenting, but Jack's expression remains firm, resolute. "I forgive you," Jack says again, his voice steady. "But now, you can go." Emily's heart sinks at his words. She had expected gratitude, maybe even a glimmer of hope for their future together. But Jack's forgiveness feels more like a release, a finality she hadn't bargained for. "But I did everything for you," Emily protests, her voice quivering with emotion. "I thought we could start over." Jack's gaze softens, but his resolve doesn't waver. Starting over means acknowledging the truth, Emily. And the truth is, forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It doesn't give you a free pass to hurt me again. "But you kept sleeping with Theodore in the past 3 months, even though I only asked you to meet him just for our business purpose. But you prefer your pleasure over everything. That's your character. and I don't have to deal with it again and again. She thought Jack wouldn't know about getting physical with Theodore again, but now she knew she lost her last chance. I realize now that your forgiveness isn't about letting me off the hook, Emily admitted, her voice filled with understanding. Forgiveness doesn't always lead to reconciliation, especially when trust has been shattered beyond repair, Emily said softly. Theodore is still by your side, Jack stated firmly. You're still having fun with him even after saying you would make it up to me. I only asked you to gather information from him, not to have sex with him. You continued cheating on me, so why stop now? Keep it going, but at your own expense. Best of luck, Jack concluded with finality. Emily's eyes fill with tears as the weight of his words settles in. As Emily gathers her things to leave, she realizes the depth of Jack's strength, even in letting her go. As Jack watched her disappear behind the gate, a wave of nausea washed over him. He couldn't shake the image of Daisy, their daughter, struggling to juggle studies with part-time jobs. The anger he had clung to for months began to crumble. He also remembered the phone call, Daisy's trembling voice pleading with him to reconsider cutting her financial support. Jack's heart softened, and he resolved to continue supporting her financially until her graduation. It was the least he could do for his daughter despite the pain and betrayal he felt. Even though trust between them was broken beyond repair, Jack's heart remained compassionate. In his will, he began donating money every month to help kids who were abandoned by their parents, just like he felt abandoned by his family once. Jack found comfort in helping those who needed it most. It showed that even in tough times, his kindness never faded.